Welcome to I Love My HBCU ? The podcast where we express our undeniable love for HBCUs, but where we are also not afraid to address a few tough questions. So, sit back, learn a little, love a lot, and rep your HBCU. Another episode, another reason to love your HBCU. Chinedu, I'm excited about these summer episodes, and we're coming in hot or cold? What do you think? Hot or cold?
Hot.
Hot.
It is hot.
Okay. Okay, let's get to it. Can we talk about what the Democrats get right? We handled what the Republicans get right not too long ago, so it's only fair that we also handle what the Democrats get right. Top of mind, list 3 things that you're like, nah, this is why you should be a Democrat.
Yikes. We're funner. We're more excitable, and we are multicultured.
So those who are only listening and not watching, I'm sorry, my mouth was open because I'm going to need a little bit more than funner. I'm
Mhm.
writing this down.
Mhm.
Funner,
Mhm.
excitable, and did you say
Multicultured.
multicultured? That's what they get right? That's what comes to mind for you when somebody
Yes.
says, what do the Democrats get right?
Yes. Can I tell you why?
Please, please,
Because
please.
when you say Democrats, I have to include everybody. So if I am aggregating all of them, that's what I see that they're getting right. Now, if we talk about factions of the Democrats, for example, the progressives, oh, there's a lot that they're getting right. But that simply is not the definitive sum of the Democrats. So in me being kind, and let me be clear, I have voted Democrat in every election I've ever voted. So I'm
Okay.
being kind of partial to my own party,
Okay.
or a party that I identify with.
Okay.
But as a whole, that let's do it this way.
Mm-hmm.
HBCU students, you know this joke. Sometimes it's like the progressives are an A, an A plus, if you will, in a 1 credit course. But the bigger party is like a D or a C in a 7 credit course. So if we only had those 2 grades, that A now comes down. And that is my experience. And that's why I said what I said. Because all of those great things that I do see about certain Democrats, it is not represented by the whole.
Ooh. You're going to have to take me to school even further,
Let's do
especially
it.
based on that breakdown that you just gave. And the reason why I want you to take me to school, you self-identified. I do not identify as a Democrat. I do not identify as a Republican. And before people come after me, I'm not a closeted Democrat, and that's what I call some independents who, even though they're independent, you tend to see them leaning more towards the Democrats, as statistics actually show us to be the case. In a perfect world, I would want all of us, not to have to identify with one party or another and truly vote the issues and truly vote exactly how we see persons impacting
Mhm.
policies in a way that moves the needle forward. So just putting that out there.
Sure.
The reason why I want you to take me to school a little bit further with regards to your commentary, I'm gonna out us for a hot second,
Let's do
Chinedu,
it.
okay? I love it. Chinedu's like, let's do it. I don't care. So Chinedu and I, we talk about these things quite a bit, by the way, randomly, like on a Tuesday afternoon, just for the fun of it. And I told Chinedu, I said, Chinedu, our beautiful Generation Next advocates had put this topic on the docket for us to discuss. And Chinedu, do you remember your immediate reaction?
Remind me.
I will remind you. They don't get anything right. What do they get right? They don't get anything right. And I just did a lot. I did a whole
For
lot.
those who are just listening, all of those all of those vibrations, that's exactly what I did.
No, seriously, that's exactly what he did. And I want to give you, that's why I'm saying school me, right?
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
want to give you an opportunity to explain to listeners why you started off with an outburst of they don't must you actually said must we talk about that, they don't get anything right. That's what you said. Must we talk about that, they don't get anything right. And that was an outburst, that was a passionate outburst. But I want you to explain to listeners why that was your initial reaction to hearing we're going to talk about, can we talk about what the Democrats get right. Go ahead, take us to school.
Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna do my best to do this without calling the Republicans' name yet.
Okay.
Um, let's go back to, was it the first Obama presidency? I think 2008, 2012.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
The Democrats, we had the triple cherries. We had the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. Correct?
History tells me you might be accurate. If I'm
I
wrong,
believe.
we apologize to the entire listenership.
I believe that that's what happened. But what happened when we had that opportunity? Right? Did we use that time to codify Roe v. Wade? No. Okay. 2016. Now, don't get me wrong. My family was very big on Hillary. But who was moving the Democratic Party more than even Barack Obama was when he first ran?
Can I take a
Bern,
wild guess? Bernie
take a wild guess.
Sanders.
Bernard Sanders.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Let me be clear. I started as a Hillary person and I moved to Bernard Sanders because I felt like he represented those people that aren't listened to, but
Mm,
also are
mm.
asked to give their vote. Okay. 2024, more recently. Okay. Joseph R. Biden. Okay. Who, let me be clear, has had a multitude of time in his career to have all type of careers. He's a great man. He shook my hand on graduation day. We took an amazing picture when I graduated from Morgan State University. I think he's an amazing man. But look at the hand that Kamala was dealt with 100 days. Even if she won, even if she won, there's something my dad used to always say. My dad is a choir director, used to be the choir director for the African choir. And he would say this: people don't come to practice. But then on the Sunday we're supposed to sing, everybody comes and sings and the church is happy. But we would all be happier and we would sound better if we all had an ease of mind. And that means everybody coming to practice and following the instructions. So even if Kamala, excuse me, would have won, excuse my mistake, Kamala would have won, it's like, are we not listening to the people that we are asking for? Now I'm going to pivot real quick to the Republicans. This cacophony of nonsense that is taking place, it's stupid to us, but it's everything they asked for. At the very least, whether you agree with it or not, the people voted for this. Eating the cats, eating the dogs, they voted for him. Now he wants to change the temporary status of 500,000 immigrants. You know what I'm saying? It's wrong, but the least is they're listening to their people. No matter how radical MAGA is from regular Republicanism, there is a space that somebody is hearing them. Okay? And funny enough, the old guard of Republicanism, they come together because once this new faction believes that we are of the today and you all have to fall in line, and that's what the party is doing. Don't agree with it, but what I'm telling you is the people that voted for that is working. Now, whether they knew the ramifications, that's a whole other story. But they voted for A, they're getting A. But now look at me. I am more of a progressive. I like stuff like the Green New Deal. I like stuff like the idea of forgiving student loans. And you're telling me, you told me it was impossible. And it wasn't the Republicans who were telling me, it was my own Democrats. I remember when Hillary Clinton said that that was impossible in 2016. Sorry, in 2012 ish, I believe, or 2016, or something like that, and then campaigned on it afterwards, or something of that nature. I may have the dates wrong.
No worries.
But the point I'm making here as I come to a close is the people that are supposed to believe in me the most tells me that my dreams don't matter.
Hmm.
And how do they tell me that my dreams don't matter? By supporting somebody like Andrew Cuomo, who was found guilty of doing inappropriate things with women, I believe, and mishandling the senior care program during COVID. But the person who was a younger, newer, not a whole bunch of background, which once upon a time used to be a great thing per se, that person, the establishment, and when I say establishment, I mean the people that make the kingmakers in my group, as in Democrats, they don't want to support him. But he sounds like me. So
Hmm.
when you don't support him, you're telling me you don't believe in me. That is my biggest issue with the Democrats.
So, Sinead, you know what this topic is supposed to be, right?
And I knew what Democrats were supposed to be as well. See how we find ourselves in this kerfuffle?
So, Sinead, if
Mm-hmm.
we were not on a recording, which we are, so I'm just gonna say it. So, pray tell, my dear sir, what are we supposed to talk about if Gen X told us what they
Mm-hmm.
want to hear us talk about is what the Democrats get right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've spent the last few minutes only mentioning the things they get wrong. So
Mm-hmm.
I need us to try, okay?
Sure.
I need
Sure.
us to try, and it might mean you pulling a point or two
Mm-hmm.
out of the side, the fraction or
Mm-hmm.
faction actually,
Mm-hmm.
that you believe gets a few things right. Let's talk about that because
Sure.
it is becoming painfully clear. And let me divert for 2.5 seconds. It's never 2.5 seconds with me, but let's give it a shot. Um, you're not alone. In fact, when one of our Gen X advocates put this topic on the ground, she said, let's see how good you guys are going to do." And I'm like, "Is this a dare?" And she is a professed Democrat. What I'm hearing when I listen to you, when I listen to her, and I listen to others that I listen to with regards to those who identify as Democrats, is a frustration. It is a desire to be heard. It is a desire to be at least partially included, even if not
Mm-hmm.
fully included, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's not always entirely possible. And it seems as if that does not come to bear. And that's what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, when this comes out, for those who are going to be like, they are totally off topic here, aren't they? I think there needs to be an appreciation for the fact that the Chinedu Nwokefers of the world, the Gen X advocates of the world, are not alone with feeling like, what can we point to that we are proud to say the Democrats have gotten this right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say
Mm-hmm.
that. But before I'm still going to throw a lovely rapid fire segment at you with
I almost
regards to,
swore.
don't swear, don't swear, don't swear, don't swear. Before I throw one at you, tell me something. I still need one thing that
Mm-hmm.
you, top of head, can say, nah, the Democrats got this one right.
Mm, I got it already.
Let's hear it.
Localized politics.
Localized politics.
They
Okay.
are superb there. Shout out to the Maryland Governor Westmore and Baltimore Mayor Brennan Scott.
I
They
love
get
it.
that right, Democrats. They get that right.
Localized politics. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna come back to localized politics.
Sure.
Um, because that's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a
Mm-hmm.
good thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, before we get back to localized politics, and you mentioned two very, at least for Marylanders, two very powerful, well-known names. I am going to throw the rapid fire segment at you.
Let's do it.
The can we talk about what the Democrats get right version? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
I don't think he's ready, guys, but
I'm
let's
not.
go. Okay. Biden or Obama?
Barack Hussein Obama.
Okay, full name, full name. AOC or Jasmine Crockett?
Ooh, Jasmine Crockett.
Jasmine Crockett. Give me one unpopular opinion about Democrats.
Unpopular opinion.
Unpopular opinion about Democrats.
Oh, that we're the good guys.
Whoa. Coming back to that.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one, since you are a Democrat, I'm going to ask it this way. One Democratic policy you secretly hate.
Oh God. Mm, no comment.
Ah, that's not fair. That's not
It.
fair. That's not fair. I saw several of them run through your head, like run through your thoughts when you said no
Mm-hmm.
comments. But okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, 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 okay.
That's so
Um,
crazy. That is so unlike me, but no comment.
no comments. Okay, okay. All right. I've been told we're almost time up. Got one more for you.
Okay.
One lesson Republicans could learn from Democrats.
Fun and joy can really bring a
Enjoy,
country together.
enjoy, enjoy. Fun can really bring a country together. I love it. Okay, can we get back to your unpopular opinion before we go to localized politics?
Let's
Before we
do
go
it.
to localized politics, let's get back to your unpopular opinion. Your unpopular opinion about Democrats is they're the good guys. Break
Mhm.
that down.
Um, we're not the good guys. We're the better guys. And the reason why I say that is because, in theory, the issue in this country is that politics as a duopoly is completely corrupt. Just point blank, period. I mean, we're talking about dark money. We're talking about foreign nationals who put dark money into our country. I won't say any names, you can look them up. But that's what we're talking about. And that goes on both sides. No one really asks. So if both sides are getting funded by the same thing, who is actually the good guy? The
Hmm.
reason why I say we're the better guys is because we, as it shows with our policies, they are expensive, but they tend to end up benefiting the least of the people. And that's so important to me for many reasons, biblical reasons. But I can just say, like, if you ask many Africans, for instance, they'll tell you their favorite president was Bill Clinton, because my parents immigrated in the 80s, 84, I believe. And we became middle class when that man became president. And many of our people became middle class. There were so many opportunities. Now, that wasn't the experience for everybody. Thanks to an
Hmm.
HBCU, I learned that that was for the quote unquote haves. There were black have nots in New York with the three strikes rule and so on and so forth. So I do want to understand. I understand that duality is a thing. But 9 times out of 10, the Democrats tend to help the least of the people. But then sometimes at what cost? And that's where it becomes tricky. Um, for example, they were naming that the most of the corporate donors that donated to Democrat, former disgraced governor Andrew Cuomo, most of those that donated to his mayoral campaign were the exact ones that donated to Donald Trump's campaign. Now, to be fair, people give money everywhere, but sometimes that's too close for comfort, and we know how money usually works. And I think we have sold Democrats as we are so much better, we are so much together, and da 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 da. But long term effects sometimes, when you start to peel back the onion, we're not all doing the right thing. I think there's a stock trading quote or something or ideal that somebody put out about that. It's the Nancy Pelosi, where you follow how she stock trades.
Hmm.
Why
Hmm.
is this person who is a civil servant worth hundreds of millions of dollars? That's not right. That's the same conceptual idea that we argue against the Trumpians and the Musks and all those people that are doing handouts. And it's just like, is it because we play in dirt with rain boots and they're playing with no shoes that we seem like we're a bit cleaner? I don't think that that's fair. So that's my unpopular opinion. We are better, but we are not the good people.
Hmm. We are better, but we're not the good people. That's leading me to another question that I want you to school us on. But before I go there,
Oh.
you talked about, and I, if I may,
You're very funny.
if I may, it took you a minute to get to what the Democrats get right, and you finally landed on localized politics. And you mentioned, of course, we are based in Maryland. Shout out to Governor Westmore. Shout out specifically because we are in the city. Mayor Brandon Scott. Um, they've got that right. Let me push back ever so slightly on that,
Let's do
right?
it.
And I'm not disagreeing for the
Hmm.
record. I'm just pushing back ever so slightly. I'm lucky enough to traverse through all of Maryland through a program that I'm currently a part of. And recently, I was in one part of Maryland that is not as diverse, is a lot more unilateral with regards to one race
Hmm.
over another. That's my best way of putting that. And I'm not going to
Sure.
mention the area, but
Very safe
uh,
sentence.
very safe sentence. And I didn't feel I didn't feel that unified Maryland as I often feel when I'm in the metropolitan areas of Baltimore cities and Baltimore
Mm,
County and Montgomery County and so on and so forth and Rundle. I didn't feel that. In
mm,
fact, I heard a disdain when a person said, "I'm tired of hearing our governor make the statement," and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting him accurately, but he makes a statement along the lines of, "Where goes Baltimore, there goes Maryland." Along the lines, he makes a statement along those lines. Chinedu is rustling in his seat for those who are only listening and not watching. And the person had a lot of disdain for that statement. And it showed division in this localization of politics at the state level that one would give as a kudos to Democrats that they've got right. I also heard a lot of them not espousing Democratic policies, but
mhm,
absolutely Republican policies.
mhm,
So as you school us
mhm.
on localized politics being something that the Democrats get right, bear that in mind.
Sure.
That I dare say that oftentimes that is applicable to the metropolitan areas more so than the entire state. Go. He's
I
ready.
will not swear. I want to deeply, but I will just say, all BS aside, let's just keep it real with ones and zeros. The people who complain should consider producing more of that tax money that the
Hmm.
ones that they're complaining about are producing.
Hmm.
Because let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Baltimore, in particular, is the biggest municipality in the state, of course. But the money that we produce for our state compared to the rural parts of the state, let's be real. Those rural parts will always be more expensive because they do not have the expansive infrastructure. They do not have the expansive transportation, meaning jobs are sequestered to a small area. So there's no going up. What airport is near Western? Okay, okay, okay. Sorry, is there a water seaport? You know, the one that, imports the most cars in the country? It's Baltimore. Oh, okay. So keeping it real, because you know what this sounds like? It sounds like people like Texas or Alabama who complain about California being so liberal when those blue places are putting in more money than they take out. But the places that are quite red seem to love to draw, but complain about the people that are giving. Imagine that. So that is kind of my thought process with that, to be fair. And I'm not saying that they don't have a point.
Okay.
But if you
Okay.
want, this is America, I'm going to say it like this. If you want a bigger share, in the pot, then you can't have it both ways. You can't have the village lifestyle and the city income. That does not work in any nation. In any nation. What am I talking about? Look at a developed nation, for instance, like China, for instance. China carried about 500 million people out of poverty in the last 20, 30 years. You know what's interesting that they did? Those places that were once rural villages started to change. And one of the first things that they implemented was high speed rail. Now, some would say that that's the government's grip on power and keeping people unified. Surely, two things can be true at once. Okay, that's how politics works. But you know what that also is? That also allows that person that lives in Tangshan to travel to Beijing in 3 hours rather than 9 or 10. That automatically changes your access to education, your
Mm,
access to money, your
mm.
access to what I'm gonna take you further. Your access to broadband. Should I take y'all back to what Obama was talking about when he was running and the importance of broadband and why internet is super important, especially for those places that are complaining because they don't have access to the wider world. And it's very simple. Your storefront, it's difference between if you're across the street from the Apple store, you're going to get more foot traffic. But if you're on the top floor that no one goes to visit, it's the simple math of economics. So although I do hear them, I would love for them to come to the table and not, I'm going to say it, and not be such welfare queens. What do I mean by that? I think one of the biggest businesses in that area that you were with is the federally funded fire service. I think fire training service. I think the biggest one in the country, I believe. If we remove those federal dollars, now what? So I think people should be very careful when they make their complaints. Although I think it's a very viable complaint, but also you have to look in to see what everybody else is doing. That's all I'm saying.
Quick pushback question.
Sure.
And I love the fact that you acknowledged, because that is life, two things can be true at once. And I don't think we have that enough in our discourse, in our political and policy-driven discourse. We typically want to pick one over the other. Two things can be true at once. You mentioned great example with regards to China, right? And I
Hmm.
love that you talked about transportation. Love it. Um, the same way I gave credence earlier on that the Chinedus, the yous of the world, and a lot of our Gen X advocates of the world, what you're hearing with regards to their critique of the Democratic Party is frustration, passion, and actually love is the same way I would say when I hear the disdain from those in those outskirt areas of Maryland at the statement that our governor makes with regards to where goes Baltimore, there goes Maryland, is a frustration of, okay, sure, we want access to some of these things. And I'm not speaking for all of them here, but I heard a lot of them talk about the disappointment of lack of jobs, the disappointment of lack of transportation, which go hand in hand, right? Because because of the expansiveness of a lot of those areas, like you rightfully said, most of the jobs that are available are in concentrated areas and with very specific types of skill sets. And so, for the person who's got other types of skill sets, the ideal would be for them to be able to get from point A to a very distant point B, but there's no transport infrastructure. Whose responsibility is that, Chinedu, to put that transport infrastructure together?
It is the opportunity. It's the government. But I'm gonna take us a step further,
Go ahead.
and I'm gonna. This is the moment. I'm gonna go there.
Go.
America. I'm looking at you, America. We must stop being racist. End of story. Because let me explain why I'm taking that approach to answer your question. Because here's what I do know about this country. Who were the people? I'm talking about before there was a huge rail system or whatever. Who were the people going out and creating towns out of nowhere? Diverse people. Even when we were throwing, getting, let's say, the Irish to come here and do certain work, they were able to build community
Yeah.
and change areas. Even the
Yeah.
freed slaves, the freemen, they go to an area and they were able to create newness. That's the wonderful thing about this experiment, right?
Mm.
The great thing about this experiment is that when you allow a diverse expanse of people to be diverse and expansive, the country grows. Let
Yeah.
me bring it to HBCUs for a second. You talked about Western Maryland. Let's talk about the Eastern Shore. Who is to say that if Maryland, for over the last 40 years, didn't inadequately fund its HBCUs? Can we talk about it? Can we talk about it? These schools that are in some of these rural places, that have some of these bright children that come from all over the world, that they converge and create. Who is to say if those institutions weren't properly funded, that that goodness for those in the Western Maryland and the Eastern Maryland, Eastern Shore would not come to fruition? Who is to say that? I'm going to tell you that I know it would happen, because what I know is that wherever you allow a convergence, a confluence of different people that really care, that have all that they need, the first thing that those people usually do is go out to solve and create. They go out to create. But the problem is, we want to talk now about our first black governor. First, right? How many governors has Maryland had, and what color have they been? What have they done for their fellow people? Have they expanded anything public? Who is even talking about public infrastructure? Our last governor canceled the idea of mass transit and built more what? Roads. He didn't even like the idea of mass transit. Why is that important? I'll tell you why it's important. Whatever works, and this is where I'm going to bring Baltimore back to the Eastern Shore and back to Western Maryland. This is how the world has always worked. Whatever works in that big city, it becomes a multiplier effect. If transit worked in Baltimore, and there's a case study, because that's what we do case studies
Mm-hmm.
to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that it works, we do all these things. If it works here, it will multiply in other places. Because the thing about America that you can always hold her accountable for is if it makes money, she will find a way to agree, even if she don't like you. So that's my pushback on that whole thing. Like, I can't rest this on the shoulders of the first black governor,
Of course, of course.
um, when most other governors kept, hear this correctly, they kept those places like that. And you can see examples of those similar places all around our country: Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi,
True.
Oklahoma, and as the beat
Hasn't
goes on.
changed. They just, yeah. All right,
Mhm.
let's pivot. Let's
Let's do
pivot.
it.
Let's pivot. Guys,
Gosh.
clearly, this is supposed to be public service announcement moment. Can we talk about what the Democrats get right? We have diverted so much from that.
Mm,
And
mm.
listen, Gen X advocates, give me an F for fail on this one. Because listen, I'm not a Democrat, so it's Sinead's job to keep bringing it back to what they
Mhm.
get right. I'm just going to keep asking the questions. There's a
Absolutely.
question that I must ask based
Okay.
on a lot of the things that you said. Okay,
Hmm.
Sinead,
Yes.
why do Democrats have such a strong hold on Black people?
The church.
Whoa.
It's the church.
Okay.
And when I say the church, it is the minstrelization of blackness. Where that if you come to my, and the reason I say it's minstrelization is because you see black people as just these, worshipers, which is that's part of us, but that's kind of in the trickery of it all,
Hmm.
right? And I speak on that quickly because the church it still remains the big bastion, strong bastion of black togetherness, if you will. I think the idea of the church is changing, right? Because the church has been known as a building and a religion. But I personally believe that in this new generation, we are the church, we as the people. So it's a little bit different. But I bring up the church to speak on. They come there and maybe they'll put on a African kente and they'll sing a 2 or 3 songs, and then they have our vote. They don't actually have to give us anything. And better yet, they actually never have to return. They come one time. And the reason why that is even extra dangerous, I'm going to go there.
Go there.
Most of black religion in America is because of what? Slavery, correct?
Slavery.
So who is to say that this isn't Master yet again playing another trick? I mean, that's the only logical way to look at it because they know where to find us. They go there and we come together and we do for them and or we do for us because it's us. Let's not pretend like we're not with them. We are collective, if you will, as Democrats. But then we get nothing. We get nothing. And to be fair, you're not going to like what I'm going to say, but the way I'm going to end this conversation is going to make it all better, so don't worry. If you look closely, they're doing the same thing that MAGA's doing. Walk with me. It's the idea of selling people a dream that goes against their main interest. It's exactly what happens. I see saddened black people every 4 years or so on and so forth, feeling like they didn't get what where is ours? Everybody else can get theirs. And I'm not going to be specific because if you're living in America, you know who everybody else is. But for some reason, we can't get ours. And when it's time for us to get ours, it's you have to do for everybody until it's time for them to get theirs. Then all of a sudden, it's different. And if you look closely, there is a through line there because when you look at the Magites, if you will, and you look at the black church folk, at the end of the day, both are kind of being played because both aren't winning anything at the end of the day. It's that one preacher that may get more, relevance because he had Hillary Clinton or he had Barack Obama come to his church. So now he can increase the fiduciaries, of the people and keep those lights on. It's 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 America. It's America. But that's my belief. It's the church. It's my belief. And I am, to be very clear, a Christian. Born and raised Catholic, more or less AME these days. But that has been my experience.
I'm silent. I'm silent. Lord have mercy. I'm silent for several reasons. Um, what will it take to have an honest conversation to poke holes at the facade of a relationship between the two? And I'm calling it a facade based on all the things that you've just said. I think the part that struck me hard when you said they come and they don't even return. I have been at several a worship during campaign season and they come through. They come through. They come through. Here's what's funny, maybe not so funny. A couple of the ones who come through are actually parishioners, and I never see them again until the next time. Again, hear me right. They're actually parishioners, and I never see them again. Um, what will it take? And the reason why I'm asking what will it take to break that facade is it's hard for me not to feel and gosh, sadly agree with what you said when you implied that we're just being had. What will it take to break that? And pause before you school us. Before you school us on that, I think it's important, at least for me, to state that when I ask the question, why do Democrats have a stronghold on Black people? And you answer the way you did with regards to the church. Gosh, Tosin, you're gonna get, slurred at for this. I don't I don't particularly think it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
I unlike maybe unlike you, see where it benefits black people.
Yes.
And so because of that, I it's not a throw the baby out with the bathwater
I
kind of
agree.
situation for me, as I ask that question and then as I reflect on your commentary. But yes, what will it take? What will it take?
I think, and I agree with you as well, because I don't think it's a, and I'm glad you said that because that actually ties into what I'm saying.
Okay.
Um, my favorite thing that Dr. Martin Luther King ever said in his life, Junior, my favorite thing is just these one very simple words: be true to what you said on paper. It is every Black History Month. That's how I start one of my videos. Be true, because it's America. She talks a big game, and she can't always cash the checks that she talks about. And that's purposeful. That's my issue here. You remember I said earlier, let's stop being racist and it would be great. The issue here with that concept of, okay, it's not all the way wrong. It's this. It's you switch up. It's the wonderful, interesting thing about this language. I thank God I speak another language because for me, it's important to know other terms that I can use that make sense to me because this language is too funny.
Hmm.
It's too funny. Right doesn't mean right anymore, and left doesn't mean left. It switches up too much. One day it's slavery, then we become free, then it's Jim Crow, then it's mass incarceration, then it's war on drugs, then it's war on intelligence and wokeness. It's all the same. That's my issue. America is very abusive. And rather than
Wow.
admit fault and work to fix it, you know what she does? She does the powerful thing about this English language. She creates a new way
A
of
new
doing
way.
the
Yeah.
same darn thing. And there's danger there because it costs more money, more lives, and better yet, more time. It sickens me that my tone, when I hear myself speak, when I see my own passion, you know the first thing I see? A
What?
black and white video of Marcus Mosiah Garvey, black and white videos of Medgar Evers, black and white videos of Dr. Martin Luther King. Why do I keep saying black and white? Why should that even tone of speech exist today if we are solving the problems? That's because every time we get close, you sign one law to get us forward, and America does the Uno reverse card.
Hmm.
One way or another. One way or another. Wonderful example of my point because people will say, where is the fact? Drop something in. Okay, I'll give you something. Look at the great city of Baltimore. Once upon a time, Baltimore was a worker city, huge with steel. A very big amount of the steel that is actually in the French Quarter in Louisiana was made here in Baltimore. Good old Baltimore. So that means you can get a good paying job without having to have an education, guys. Once upon a time, when so many of us owned
Without having to have a
homes,
college education.
not a
Let's
college degree.
specify the difference. Yes.
Thank you for that. And when your handwork was very, very good. But America's so cynical. What she does is she wants to make more, not let the people make more, but the corporations make more. And they slowly started shipping away those businesses. Imagine being a welder your whole life, a welder who can afford a house for his children.
Hmm.
Uh, Remember, y'all, black people own houses and one person worked. Just remember that. Remember that as you see your mom and dad leaving for 12-hour shifts. Remember that one person was working and one person was the homemaker. That's how good the quote unquote jobs were. I'm not saying everything was good, but here's the point that I'm making about the remix and the Uno reverse. So now you move those industries away, and now those people who didn't need a college degree now all of a sudden need a college degree to be relevant.
Absolutely.
Isn't that depressing?
Yeah.
Isn't that depressing as majoring in something and maybe then the world tells you that that's not important
That's
anymore
not
after you
important.
spent all that money?
Mm.
Y'all know the feeling, so I'm bringing it to our vibe. But then here's the thing. And at the same time that you do that, and all of those businesses move away, and all of those banks that were already redlining and foreclosing take all that money out of the town, out of the people. Then you bring in drugs and liquor. Answer me this. By law, we had less rights in the 60s, 50s, and 40s.
By law.
By law. But ask me this. How come when we had more rights, we became more alcoholics? When you used to see our people, we were all well dressed and dressed very nicely for Sunday church. And I'm not saying that our dressing now, what happened? I'll tell you what happened. Hopelessness happened. And when you take that hopefulness away, and that man who had that job who could support his family, you take that away, unfortunately, men get sad. And what do? They drink. And this is not a black thing. Because check out what the big business is in all of those southern states that I named earlier. Oh, okay. Same liquor, right? It happened to both. But look what it did to us. That is what America does. Just stop being racist. Just give everybody a fighting chance. Wasn't that what y'all wrote in your constitution? But you can't keep true to what you said on paper. I don't mean to go down this hole in this way, but then here's where, back to my Democrat thing, this is where the Democrats find an opportunity. They come in and say, we'll help you. We'll be your savior. We'll be your fighter. And they are locally. Until they need to ascend to the higher seats of the land.
Hmm.
Then all of a sudden, they don't know me anymore. All of a sudden, they get scared. And it's cowardice. It's cowardice. It's cowardice. That's why they can come to church that one day. They're scared to come the second time because maybe they feel like the rapture will come down. I'm being facetious, but who knows? All of a sudden they get up and they change. The reason why I love localized politics, what Democrats get right, is because Brandon Scott's office is 2 blocks from my house. I dare you to not listen to my needs. We're too close to you, brother. Westmore, we're too close to you. You have to interact with us. But think about the higher ups, those senators who live in DC and then weekend back home, who red eye back and forth. What a privilege to not see those who are suffering.
Hmm.
What a privilege.
So, in our discussion in house, one of our young Gen X advocates said, Dr. Tosin, I think one of the things that the Democrats get right is
Mhm.
their relationships with celebrities that we listen to. What are your thoughts on that?
That is the biggest problem. And I think Malcolm X spoke about this, about something, and I'm not quoting it right, but I'm saying it a rough quote, but like, we are listening to people who do not have a following in justice. Like they're celebrities and they care, but we give them so much credence. Like we live in a world where we would give more credence to Mariah the scientist than an actual scientist.
That
Let's
was
talk
good.
about it.
That was good.
Let's talk about it.
That was good.
Are any of y'all coming to Kamala Harris rally if Kismika Corbett was speaking? Y'all know who Kismika Corbett is? Go look her up.
I do.
Super important. Black people, black scientists, NIH. Super important for the reason that most of us are still living after COVID almost took us all out. Super important. But will we come for her? And can we also talk about how your average celebrity doesn't really stand for anything? Because cash rules everything around me. Dollar bills, y'all. It's
Hmm.
money.
Hmm.
What are they giving up? Are they willing to lose anything for their stance? And y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say the name. But, like, come on. They're not losing anything. Show me any celebrity that supported the Democrats that their amount of money went down afterwards. Because aren't you supposed to be giving up something to fight for justice? Like, giving something up. I don't like that because the real celebrity, similar to the real politician, should be localized. With
Hmm.
all due respect, my favorite celebrity is Beyonce and Jay-Z. I love that couple. But explain to me what Jay-Z rapping about Basquiat's in his home has to do with me trying to get a job after being laid off of a new administration. Can he relate to me there now? Nope, but that local person could. And that's the danger. We have taken our eyes off of local and put it on this big celebrity. And those people, I think I've said this before, remember, rich people have one thing in common. They're going to the same banks, to the same golf clubs. Their kids are going to the same schools. They're flying the same private jets. They're benefiting from the same thing, even if they don't like. You think, you think that the person, just because that person is Democrat supporting, that they're banking with M&T and Bank of America like you? No, they're probably banking at the same people with the same lenders that the Donald Trumps use. Because that's how that works. That's how that works when you're rich. So this is not me taking a stab at them, but this is me taking a stance to say that it's very dangerous. I appreciate what everybody adds to the pie. And that wasn't a dig on Beyonce. Love her. I'm going to go see her by the grace of God. Cowboy Carter. Uh, it's not a dig on her, but it's the relatability. It's no longer the same because the life experiences are no longer the same. Once you sit in first class, it's different about the back of the plane. And it's not blaming either person. It's just that now we have curtains dividing us, and someone says that you can't come here and I can't come there. So I just, to bring it back, I think the danger in that is that it becomes such a national event where all of these big names come, and at the end, I'm still losing.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I implore all of y'all, name your favorite artist who supported any of our candidates. Go look up their net worth before and after. Then go look up yours.
Whew, Jesus. Okay, Chinedu, short answer.
Okay.
It's 2028.
Oh God.
You know where this is going.
Of course.
This is a yes or no. It's 2028. Are the Democrats in power? Have they won the presidency? Short answer.
No.
No. Okay. Okay. You're itching to say more, aren't you? You're itching to say
I'm
more.
seething.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll make it brief. Just look at the Mondani versus the Cuomo.
Cuomo.
AOC said you're not listening. The people said they wanted him, but y'all still want to platform that person. And I know that feeling because in my fatherland, Nigeria, it's the same thing. But there's the current president in Nigeria has this thing, this mantra, if you will, Emilokun, I believe. It is my turn. It's a Yoruba term.
Turn.
I am
Yeah.
Igbo, so I'm saying it terribly, but it's like, it is my turn. Who are you? I'm sorry. I'm
Can I say
Christian.
it for you in Yoruba?
Please.
Emi lo kan.
There you go.
My
Thank
dad would
you.
be so proud.
I'm an Igbo boy. I did my best. But
You did good. You did
what
good.
when we say those type of statements, to me, it's as if you're challenging God because it's God's time and it's always God's
Always.
time. And if we know anything about the Bible, if we pay attention, God will always bring up the least of us, quote unquote, to society standards. And y'all swear y'all love that Bible. Y'all love it. Y'all probably know it more than me, but do you really listen to the stories and believe in it? Because all these people believe that power of the world is theirs. And I remember, according to that book, how Pilate was petrified when God did his big 1-2, as the kids would say. So that's the reason why it'll be hard for us to win. You know what the Democrats do get right? I'll tell you. Most of their policies, y'all ready? Everybody loves them, and everybody will benefit from them. People open their mouth, chaw, chaw, chaw is what we say in Nigeria. Just talk, tiff, tiff, talk, idle talk, right? Obamacare, hate it. It was terrible. It was terrible. Why haven't y'all replaced it yet? Because the constituency that continues to vote for some of y'all, it's their lifeblood.
It's their lifeline.
It's the for black people in particular. And I correct me if I'm wrong, do a little fat check, Chiron at the bottom, if you will. I believe more people got on health insurance in the history of black folks in America because of Obamacare than any time ever before. Sorry, Affordable Care Act. Let me not offend those who are a little bit into words, because what is in a name? Um, but here's the point that I'm making by bringing up the 2028 thing and the policies. If we pay attention to the people, listen to what they want, listen to what they need, we would be in power forever, if you will. Democratically speaking, we don't believe in stealing elections, and we don't believe in all of that other nonsense. No hanging chads over here. But the problem is, politics is not Democrat and Republican. Politics is power, and politics is about emulsifying the low, emulsifying them till they're nothing but liquid and almost drinking that liquid for power. I'm being very, very dramatic, but that's what it is. It's
Yes.
almost like the villain in the Disney movie. They need us, so they must emulsify us because they need our votes. But it's about crushing the least of the people. And if Democrats can, again, go back to being the better person and really look up for that person, we'd get 28, we'd get 32, and so on and so forth. But to do, what do they say? What's the old saying? And I'm gonna be quiet here. Don't put off tomorrow what you could do today.
Today.
And judging by what I'm seeing in New York, they're already telling us that they're handing it to these other folk.
Chinedu, in one word or short phrase,
Jesus.
one word, you're going to end the episode for us
Okay.
with this. In one word or short phrase, why do you remain a Democrat? Is that the answer?
No, but
Okay.
please keep the long pause in. That wasn't dramatic effect. That was me asking myself too.
I love it. I love
Um,
it. I love it.
I remain a Democrat because of how I began, because of localized politics, which is what they get right. And most of the people that are fighting for me, it is my duty to give them lift.
I appreciate that. Chinedu, you know I like the CNN now, and Namdi and Wokiafor. As always, it is a joy having these conversations with you. I listen, I challenge everybody who hears the sound of my voice, everyone who has heard the sound of Chinedu's voice or watched us today on this podcast to continue the conversation. Like every conversation you hear us have, please continue it. Disagree with one another. where it is possible, agree with one another. Where it is possible, understand the other person's perspective, because it is extremely important that even if we disagree, I give honor to trying to understand your perspective. We must, especially, listen to me bastardizing words, especially on college campuses, especially on college campuses, encourage diverse discourse respectfully. So, I say this all the time because it is true. There is no I Love My HBCU podcast with Toast and Richard without these amazing guests that say yes to keep coming on. It is quite impossible for you to have heard this conversation and not subscribed and liked this episode because of Chinedu and Namdi and Wokiafo. Yours in HBCU love. See you next episode. Chinedu, as always, I love you. Thank you.
Thank you. Love you too.
You've been listening to I Love My HBCU ? Let's keep the conversation going as we share our stories and encourage more practical support of HBCUs, whilst of course holding each other accountable. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for the latest episodes. Until next time, love and lift your HBCU.